Hey everybody. So I gave you a brief description last time of everything we carry on the wrecker. So I guess I didn't really discuss the wrecker. So I'm trying again, holding the camera different for a better angle because YouTube. So anyway, um, I do run the throttle body injected motor. I know everybody's going LS, and it's a constant joke with me and my friends about the LS and everything. You know, everybody's LS in the world. The LS is a great motor. It's in many rigs. I'm mostly going for the brute strength of the big block because I run a standard. I don't run an automatic, so I feel that running the 4-speed, the standard, gives me advantages in a lot of ways. I don't have to worry about transmissions heating up. Stuff like that. You do have the clutch issue, but usually you can mitigate around that if you can drive right. But I mean, the clutch is always an issue. But it works for me. But like I said, the biggest thing is when you're carrying somebody out, and I mean, you really need that low end torque, and the LSs just don't compete with just the inertia and the mass that the big block has. So my opinion, completely take that as you will. Anyway, then running a 60 front axle. So I've got the Dana 60 front, upgraded to 35 spline shafts, chrome molly, with the hydro assist. Still running a U-joint front shaft with 1310 U-joints, because everybody just swears that those will fail. I'm still waiting, but everybody tells me they're going to fail, so I'm sure they will. Got the twin stick 205. I did that, modified the shift fork. It works really well, and you know, it's cast iron. It's a brute, so it works good. I've got the cutting brakes in here for the rear axle. That's a fairly new thing I did. It's working really well for me, getting in tight trails, and if you have to turn sideways to run the big boom out, it works super well. Running 8-inch Chevy leaf springs in the rear, 6 inches in the front, just because they're, you know, plentiful and easy to find and cheap and easy. Everybody a lot of people have told me go with 4-link. Why don't you link it up? I'm not going for ride quality or flex out of the truck. It's a work truck. I mean, above and beyond everything, it's a work truck. So I need simplicity. I need something I can fix on the trail if something does happen. And link suspension is great. It's awesome. It's strong. But you know, this truck is all about simplicity. And leaf springs are simple. They do everything as one deal. And if it breaks, 98% of the time you can patch it together and get it out. Dana 80 rear axle, I just swapped in. I went with that because I had one, you know, and that's the whole thing of this truck, is using what's laying around. It's what I've always done with it, and it just seems to work. The 14 bolt that I had in here had a good life. It had a lot of things going for it. I snapped the tube completely in half. You can see that right here. Almost lost the whole duals off the truck, which wouldn't have been good. I did build these spring perches here. They're a longer spring perch with an offset bolt hole. Moves the axle back an inch, but with the longer perch, it kind of helps fight axle wrap, which is an issue with leaf springs. So when I did the 80, I built new ones for that. I offset the center pin 1.5 inches to give me 1.5 inches over the inch. Always trying to help my departure angle here, just because when you're carrying a rig, it's swinging there, and I have had multiple points here where I've had the boom. You can see here I had the boom here, then I moved it to here, and then finally went up here, and getting closer to the rear axle of course helps, so when I have a load picked up, my front isn't coming as high up off the ground. Running the KM3 BFGs. I've had a lot. I've always loved BFGs. I always have. The traction on them is amazing and great, but they're sidewalls. So I was really skeptical about running them on the wrecker. But I needed something that was a good all-around tire. I just didn't want to go super aggressive because I was hoping to maybe run it on the street. These have surpassed everything I've ever hoped for. I mean, BFG really got the sidewalls dialed in. I've hit them on some rocks a couple times where I've been like, well, that was it. It's done. You know, that tire's shot. I'll replace it when I get to the shop. But really, there's been no issues with them. No sidewall damage at all, and I've definitely put them through their paces here in Moab. I've pinched them on rocks. I've slammed them into things, because that's the other thing with the wrecker is I don't get to pick my lines. When you're carrying someone out, it's like you're pulling a trailer. So you have to swing wide. You have to put your truck in positions you don't want to be in to make sure that the rig you're carrying doesn't get into a bad spot. Yeah, I got everything back on the truck. So, of course, it's got a roof rack. No snorkel, but it's got a roof rack. So, everything I carry is all up there. It's all spread out between there and the couple other toolboxes I have. The one little joke that my buddy keeps telling me is, this is my transgender gas can that identifies as a toolbox. Because it doesn't hold gas. It's actually one of those Rugged Ridge toolboxes, and I just love it because it's a conversation piece and it's hilarious. Anyway, yeah, I don't really know what else. A little while ago, I had my Corvette exhaust that came out the back here, and I really miss that. But I had to take it off because a lot of times when I've got a rig picked up and I'm holding it right here and I'm welding it on the trail and repairing it, just the exhaust is pointing right at you and it's just kind of a pain in the butt. Like I said, this truck's a constantly evolving thing. Like, there's been so many changes over its life, and even just the last 2 years. I put the fenders on just so that I could put my name and everything on here, and then by putting those fenders on and actually using roll bar tubing, which is actually chromoly roll bar tubing, but by using the roll bar tubing, it stiffened everything up and tied everything in, and things quit flexing and moving. And that's one of the bigger issues is a lot of people have, well, not a lot of people, but I've seen a few off-road wreckers where they've taken an old Chevy wrecker and they've tried to make it an off-road recovery vehicle. And they have. I've seen quite a few that do a really good job. But a lot of them, out of the three I've seen running, I've seen all three of them break in half. And it's because you have that really stiff wrecker bed on the back that doesn't allow the frame to flex except right here, right at the cab. So what I've done is I've done the exo cage, I've done a lot of supports, cross members, additional tie-ins, everything, just in the trying to keep the frame from flexing. Make the suspension do everything when you're off-road, make that all do it. And that way, that's what's flexing, because that's what's supposed to flex. The body's staying together, the frame's staying together, nothing's cracking. Of course, I have constant cracks. I've got one right here at a joint. I've used gussets. The forces this truck sees is insane when it's carrying a 4-door Jeep out. You know, those things can creep up to 7,000, 7,500 pounds, and that's a whole lot of weight that you're carrying out. So my plan has been to keep the wrecker as light as possible, because it gets its weight when it's carrying something out. So, like I said, it may not be the right way or the best way, but it works. So I don't mess with it and I don't change it. I change little bits here and there and try to help improve. You know, mirrors, that was a huge improvement. Didn't have those for the longest time. I don't know what else. Like I said, the cutting brakes and all that fun stuff. I've got my airbag controllers here. I can control each airbag independently. That helps. Sometimes when you're side hilling and carrying a load, you can air up the low side and drop the air out of the bottom of the high side, and it doesn't level it out a lot, but it helps. It's just the tiniest bit, but sometimes that's all you need. Like I said, there's no set rule book for how to do off-road recoveries and carry a rig out. So it's every time is an adventure, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. Like I said, that's just another overview of the actual truck. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask. I'll address them. I'm new to all this, so let's try it.